My name is John and welcome back to my channel for everything crypto and trading. You can see here that Bitcoin had a major breakdown on the daily chart and Ethereum is right at a support level, so make sure you stick around until the end of the video. Looking at the Bitcoin daily chart, you can see that the last few days we've actually had a really strong push to the downside, but we haven't been able to break this level yet, which actually shows me that we're ranging between this trading range right here. We're moving up, we're moving down, we're moving up, and we're moving down. On the shorter term time frames, maybe like the 30-minute or the 1 hour, you would see these as massive bearish pushes, massive bullish pushes, massive bearish pushes. But on the daily chart, you can actually see that we're only ranging between this area. We broke up to this area and now we're failing to push to the upside. And right in here, we're actually failing to break to the downside. And even looking at the EMA, through here, you can see that we were strongly pushing up, which means the EMA suggests that we should be trading to the upside. But right in this area, you can see that we're basically exactly sideways. So it's signaling to us that there is no bullish or bearish momentum just yet. You can even come back and see the MACD. We did have an initial strong push, but just no follow-up, which definitely doesn't signal to me that we need to go short yet. But if we were to go short, what would be the areas that I'm interested in? You can actually see here, we did initially have this as a small resistance level. Now, what happens when a resistance does get broken? It actually becomes a support level. And I would be interested right here, if we were to break to the downside, this is where I think that prices could come. We have tried multiple times to actually break to the upside. There was a failure, there was another failure, and we've even been trying to break to the downside. There was a failure, and even now we definitely haven't pulled through. What I'd really be waiting for is a breakdown of these lows before I then expect to come down to this 24,000, 25,000 area. We're currently at 27,000 and we'd need to break right below 27,000, which is our support level currently. Here, scrolling in on the daily chart, you can actually see that we're in a form of a symmetrical triangle. We're failing to break to the upside, we're failing to break to the downside, and we're actually having converging prices where prices are coming closer and closer together. As you would know, a triangle can be broken up into 3 different sections. This last third section is where I'm actually interested in the apex triangle breakout. As you would know, this last third is known as the apex of the triangle, and that is the highest probability area for the triangle to either break to the upside or the downside. And that's really where I'm interested in looking at right now. If we can actually get some targets, we can see that the top range of this triangle is this large, and we can actually bring that across to the apex to actually find the area to the downside breakout where we should begin to see some support. And you can see, where does this line up? It lines up exactly with what we were talking about before. This is the support area that I'd be interested in buying. Not only is that a perfect one-to-one of the symmetrical triangle, but it is also a support level because resistance flips back to support every single time. Now, potentially, we could definitely break to the upside, and the exact same thing we could do. We actually bring this up to the upside, and we would then have some targets. This target would be around the $32,000 per Bitcoin. We're currently at 27,700, so a really strong push. If we're able to get a push all the way up, that's actually 15% to the upside, so a very significant trade. But again, nothing is happening yet. You can see on this exponential moving average that we're just moving sideways. It's not signaling that we're going up. It's not signaling that we're going down. And I'm actually expecting the next few days to again just come up to the top side of this triangle, failure, come down to the bottom side of this triangle, failure, and then right here is where we'll get that really strong breakout. And you need to be on your toes to expect that breakout because you want to be trading it either to the upside, either to the downside, and again, you can actually have some targets as to where you'd be expecting price to go. A symmetrical triangle in itself is a 50-50 pattern. It is not overly bullish and it is not overly bearish. As you can see, we're ranging sideways, which shows that we're failing to break to the upside and we're also failing to break to the downside. So bulls and bears are very competitive right now, and either or could break. Coming into the 4 hour, we can actually take a closer look. You can see whether we're failing to the upside. We're also failing to the downside. You can see the last few days, this was a really strong push to the downside. But what are we expecting? In this support area, we're again then going to push somewhere to the upside. And in these top areas up here, what's happening? Price breaks down really strongly, comes up, and then has a struggle right in this area here before we again break to the downside. Even the EMA, you can just see we're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down. On the daily time frame, it's basically sideways. It's again, doesn't signal bullish or bearish momentum just yet, but we need to be keeping on our toes. A lot of people would think after you see this really strong push to the downside, oh my God, we really need to get short ASAP. And then people are getting short all the way down here. They're getting trapped. And then we're going to see price travel all the way back to the upside. So you definitely need to be careful. Before I move over to Ethereum, make sure to subscribe and like the video. Now let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum actually looks completely different to Bitcoin, but it is in a very similar range. As you can see, we're failing to break to this downside movement. We're consistently having support, support, and support. And again, you can even see this exponential moving average is exactly sideways. Through here, we had a positive EMA, which means every time we come back to the EMA, we're actually using this as bullish pushes to the upside. But with this sideways EMA, there is no bullish and there is no bearish momentum just yet. The bulls are buying, the bears are selling, and there's a lot of momentum basically sideways. There is no movement really to the upside or the downside, especially on this daily time frame. So you don't want to be caught out expecting the price to move in a particular area. It hasn't broken out yet. What we really want to see if we want to get short is a breakdown of this area before we then could come back, support off this area, and even come back and support off this area through here. So we need to wait for the confirmation. I wouldn't be trading to the long or to the short side just yet until we get some confirmation. Looking here at the MACD, you can see we had a really strong push to the downside, which did correlate to this downside movement through here. But this last movement, which was really strong, especially from top to bottom, that was actually over a 10% movement. Look at the MACD indicator. We had really small movement on the MACD indicator, which signals that there really wasn't a lot of volume and there wasn't a lot of selling in that area. As soon as the selling happened, the buyers came back in and scooped up prices, as that's where they're interested in buying. Again, the overall trend is to the upside. We've continuously had upside momentum, as you can see, continuously scrolling out on Ethereum. We had really strong push to the upside, had a bit of a sideways movement, and again, really strong push to the upside. But you can see right here that the EMA doesn't signify strength or bearish momentum just yet. And that's why we really need to wait for a confirmation. Ethereum doesn't look as clean as Bitcoin. As you can see, we can't really draw a symmetrical triangle in yet. When I was drawing it with Bitcoin, I was actually including prices back here to be able to draw that perfect symmetrical triangle. Whereas here, we're more so on this sideways movement and coming to the downside from the top side. So what I would be expecting is potential travels to the upside, downside, upside, before then in this last apex area of the triangle, we would then get the break to the upside or to the downside. We can again do a very similar movement where we drag this, bring it to the apex, and we'd look for an area of where we'd be interested. And you can see, where does that perfectly line up with? You can actually see it lines up perfectly with this resistance level, which then flipped to support. As you can see here, failing to break to the upside, failing to break to the upside, failing to break to the upside, failing to break to the upside. That's a very strong and very significant resistance level. But then what happened? Up through here, we actually broke to the upside in this area. And then where were we supporting? We were supporting right off this area that was initially resistance. It then flipped, it then became a support, and now really strong push to the upside. If we were to break down, this would definitely be an area that I'm interested in getting long, because the overall momentum of Ethereum is definitely to the upside. As much as it is moving sideways right now, that is the highest probability play, probably 55 to 60% of the time. And if you were expecting an upside push, you'd bring this over to the apex of the triangle. Again, the last third of the triangle is where we're going to expect that breakout. You can actually see, where does it line up? It lines up back at this high before, which is $2,200 per Ethereum, which is actually a really strong push, saying about 16% move. And that's why I'm really interested. I'm expecting to come to the top side, come to the downside, and then right in this area in here, we'll make our decision whether we really want to be a bull or a bear, moving down to a smaller time frame to really catch it perfectly. But again, scrolling out and actually looking at it on the daily time frame really gives you and shows you where you can expect prices to go and what areas support and resistance is going to become. Again, resistance, once it breaks, is going to flip to a support level, because there are a lot of people, there are people right now that are short in this area right here. And they've been holding the entire time. And as soon as price comes back into their area, they're going to get out of their shorts. Now, how do you get out of a short? If you've gone short from the top side down, you actually have to buy to get out of your shorts. And that's what, not only people would I be expecting new people to be entering the market, I'd actually be expecting old entrants to be exiting the market here. So not only do we have much more momentum coming through with new buyers coming in, we actually have old sellers that need to come back in and actually buy. So we're going to have that double momentum. So either or of the break, that's where we're going to be looking. And even if we do break to the upside, you would actually know that there is people up here that bought long and they've been holding for this entire time. And if we were to break to the upside, this would be a perfect level for them to just get out. They're going, oh my God, I'm down roughly 15% on my account. As soon as I get to break even, they're going to get out. Now, how do you get out of a long trade? Getting out of a long trade, you have to short. And that's why this area would be very interesting to, again, then enter another short position to ride it to the downside. That is all I have for you for today. So make sure to subscribe and like the video, as I'll have a new video out tomorrow.